Hi guys, welcome to a new episode of Temple to Apeh Harassment. I'm your host, Miss Fidelis. I can see that, like, you're seeing how excited I am, but it's because the topic we're talking about today is something very relatable and something you definitely don't want to miss. We are talking, I'm mad at my boss and I will tell him. Yes guys, we're talking about corporate relationships and all the little perks to it. How to relate with your colleagues, to relate with your boss, and how to deal with both genuine love interest and sexual predators in the workplace. See, I've said too much already. Well, with me, I have actor Apeh and Barr Ocholi to talk about this. Welcome, Saz.
Thank you.
Welcome to my set. Okay,
Myself,
that's good. It's good. Good energy. So, actor Apeh, let me start with you because I know you've talked about eye service a lot. I've heard you talk about it countless times and how it's good, it's always positive to show yourself, put yourself out there. But in a work environment, what do I do when that eye service is working against me? Or when a colleague is just trying to paint me bad with their eye service?
Yeah, I mean, eye service is going to happen nonetheless. To create a backdrop to the conversation of eye service, so people don't just misunderstand the concept.
For people that haven't heard it before.
Oh yes, so the whole idea behind the eye service is that we need to be visible. It's important that you see, there is spiritual blessings, there is earthly blessings. For man to bless you, he must see your good works. Okay, so if you're doing good, I'm saying that your superiors should see the good works that you do. Many times in corporate spaces, we do a lot of good stuff and then nobody sees it. But for a corporate space, it's very key that your superiors and your colleagues see the things that you're doing right and you're doing good. People do good things and their colleagues take the credit.
Yeah.
Not because the colleagues are better, but the colleagues are better at eye service. Okay, and eye service is just doing services that the eye can see. Literally, right? So that's eye service. So visibility is as important as quality. So visibility doesn't come before quality. You need to have qualitative service and then have visible qualitative service. So if, for example, from your question, your colleagues are downplaying on your role in the office, or you feel this rage, this attack from your colleagues because they are better at eye service, it could be one of many reasons. Number one, it's possible that they are better at being visible than you are. It doesn't mean they are doing something better. It just means that they are probably more visible, they are more audible, all right? And it's important to be audible. The first tablet that we all became fond of wasn't the first tablet that was invented. Many of us, when we think about tablets, we think about iPads.
Yes.
But iPad wasn't the first tablet, but they were the most audible. And that's why many times, at some point, we're calling all tablets iPads.
Sure.
Okay? And that isn't true. So it's important to be visible, even if you have good service. So many people have colleagues who are better at eye service. You need to find a way, not to struggle in that fight, but find your corner and find very strong expression within your own corner. Don't fight the space with them. Find your corner. And number two, eye service can be dangerous also. For some bosses, if you put yourself out there too strongly, for me, for example, if you put yourself out there too strongly, I won't trust you. So you won't create that balance. If you put yourself too strongly in trying to beat down on your colleagues, you might send the wrong message to the superior that you're trying to even get his attention. So that balance is very, very key. And number three, good things are good. If you keep doing good, at some point it will speak. So don't think that being subtle, being crafty is the way to go, in spite of what your colleagues are doing. Stay right where you are doing good things. And then if you stay there long enough, good things in itself will speak for you.
Barrister Ocholi, let me ask you a two-way question. So, just like I said in my intro, I'm mad at my boss and I will tell him. How do you approach a superior, either a supervisor, a boss that has offended you in some way and you want to tell him? And how would you react as that boss that they are coming to tell, you pissed me off, or this is that. Is this sack letter immediately so that we'll know how to arrange ourselves?
Okay, for both, you need to go into the orientation of both parties, both the staff now or the person who is angry. When discretion is applied, you realize that handling superior is a very special kind of arrangement.
Very special.
So nobody's taking away from the emotion. Nobody's taking away from, how you feel. But you have a lot at stake. Because what you are looking at now is what is at stake. Even if you could walk away from that company, and perhaps you even have connection to do other things, a lot is still at stake. In fact, if you are going to lose nothing in quote, you are losing a training, a capacity development training to be able to handle, crisis with that kind of grace.
Yeah.
Because crisis or that kind of circumstance is not limited to your boss. You may even find it, which makes your other question so important. You may even find such situations coming up when you are the boss. And you may never be able to manage relationships if you don't learn to manage relationships upward. In fact, one of the true tests of your capacity to manage relationship is how you manage relationship upward. Because that's where you don't have a lot of liberty. A lot of discretion goes in more than that. So you're angry, that's fine. Your boss, communicating to your boss is important. But how you communicate to your boss, in fact, let me use that slang, is important. All right? So, and that's why when I teach communication not just as passing information, but the tone and the timing is as important.
Yeah.
So what I would say to that gentleman or lady is, two things have to go in. What's the message? Because sometimes when you brood over it, you realize that I don't even need to tell this to my boss. Because the purpose of communication is to get something fixed. If you're not going to get anything fixed, and you can fix the issue other than by talking to him, then you may not even need to talk to him. If it becomes important to draw his attention to it, and now, one of the things you must look at in that process is he's trying to run a business. He has ego, whether male or female. He wants to see the ultimate good of this, not just to you, but to him. So if he's going to bring some good, or the element of something that would also be good for him, or you look at all those factors. But in doing that, you also look at the time. Yeah. Sometimes some bosses are difficult because the company is going through a rough patch, not because they are wicked. So you look at the timing. Do you want to get a cheap sack or you want to communicate something? Yeah. Then, of course, if the timing is right, you look at your tone. And I tell people this, don't speak until you are ready to protect your message and not compromise it. That means if you are not in that place, you will not have the right tone. Now, going back to the other side, again, different personalities. I've had a situation where a staff was supposed to be off for just 1 week and it turned out to be about a month. And I wasn't getting update until I called. Like, what's going on? A very key member of my team. What's going on? When I viewed the situation and the circumstances surrounding it, one of the persons I used to calm myself was my wife. I'm sure she was shocked when I picked my phone and made the call I made. Yeah. I discussed with her. She was saying nothing. I was just using her to balance my reaction because I wanted to be human. The circumstance surrounding it, if I went very harsh, I will not just give her consequences on the job, I could cost her more. I mean, it was something family, emotional, So I had to calm down with the graces. In fact, what I did was funny. Some other bosses may think I'm mad. We're approaching the Christmas season. The last thing that happened after all the other unjustified delay was missing a flight and scheduling the flight. I'm like, okay, it's going to cost you very little to move this flight really far. If you intend to go back home for Christmas, we're winding down already in the office. I think you should push it to after the holiday. My wife looked at me like, what just went on? But I added it and I told her, what you are going through makes me so cautious of what I say, but I'm still going to flog you for what you did. Because beyond me, this is a wrong culture. Another boss is going to go all out. So as bosses, we choose to be who we are. And I keep advising, just to cap this off for me, you are going to leave an impression. People are going to leave you, but it matters how they leave you. We want to leave a legacy. We don't want to just because you are powerful does not mean you should exercise your power arbitrarily. So as a boss, I want to select the impression I leave with people when they have to leave. People have left me who are still in effective touch with me as their mentor. That's what I want. So it makes you have that human angle in handling even this crisis situation. I don't want anybody leaving me and feeling I was a hostile boss. That's one of the things I want to do. So bosses need to also think the fact that you can do it does not mean you should do it.
So how do I deal with either an emotionally abusive or verbally abusive either boss or colleague? Because I mean, it's very common, especially in our country, like almost all of us are angry naturally. So how do you deal with these kind of things, emotional abuse, verbal abuse in a workspace?
First things first, gauge your threshold. You know, a lot of times what people do is that they elevate the job above their emotional well-being. So gauge your threshold. What's your threshold? Have you ever been the place, I believe you have, everybody has, have you ever been the place where somebody is messing up big time but that doesn't affect you?
Yeah.
I mean, you go back and you're all fine. You know that the problem is the person's, not yours. That means it's below your threshold. You can take it. I mean, and do your job. Because a lot of times, you know, people want you to just jump into, leave the job.
Yes.
But there's bill to pay.
Exactly.
You know? So, you know, we can't create that lily-livered kind of emotion that people just keep walking. This world is bad. People are bad. So you need to raise your threshold. For instance, you know, I've heard my guy here talk about, you know, things he has faced in life and chose to see himself in certain ways. I faced those kind of things where, you know, people try to create impressions in you. No, once you can lift up your threshold, you can take certain things. But beyond the issue of your threshold, there are certain things that are a no-no. Yeah. At that point, you are no longer dealing with the diplomacy of boss and employee or subordinate relationship. No. For instance, I keep telling people, the day a man's hand begins to reach for your body in a certain way, at that moment, it's not a boss, it's a man.
Yeah.
Aha. The answer is slightly different. This is not threshold matter. It is a matter of, it's like somebody took you to the stream and wanted to drown you. Would you say, but you're my boss? No. You will fight for life. There are certain things that are attack on life. Straight. You know, at that point, what should you do? I believe people need to seek counsel in certain situations. Because at that moment, you are the one under attack. Your actions may actually put you in the spotlight when you shouldn't have been the one in the spotlight in the first place. So you need to go to someone who is mature enough to help you navigate, even if you have to leave. But please cry early, especially when you are at the borders of your threshold or is above your threshold. Because the mistake a lot of people make is they begin to swallow and cup in things they should never have accommodated. All right, so first one, don't be permissive in just treating everything as a big problem you can leave. Second one, once it gets to the point you know, this is the point, run to the right kind of person, mature person, sensible person, the motive of counsel, the safety, and you can deal with such situations.
I'm happy you said that because, like, instinct is, leave the job now. But what if it's a really good job? And like you said, there are bills to pay. You can't, okay, you leave the job. What if your next office, you jam and down like that? Yeah. Like, what are we going to do? I'm really happy you hit that part really well. And so it's where he was talking about how to approach your boss, but I'm not angry with you. He's my boss. before after the show, you will not see me again. I'm not angry with you. So let me ask you, how do you deal with an uncooperative colleague, not staff? Because it's very easy to deal with someone that is not cooperative as a staff. But when you have to work with this person constantly, and every time there's a drag on a project or an assignment, it's the same person, and maybe your superiors aren't just seeing this, how do you deal with it personally?
Yeah, I think that once you're on a job, you have a job description. Your first obligation is to the firm, and then to your employer, whoever that is, whatever that is. So you also want to be very careful how you allow your colleagues distract you from your primary objective for being there. No boss is going to judge you on the premise of how your colleague performs or how nasty your colleague is to you. It's not an emotional front, it's a workspace. So you can have nasty colleagues, and no matter how good you are, no matter how nice you try to be with them, if a person is nasty, like he said, it's a terrible world, okay? If a person is nasty, a person is nasty. There's not much you can do about it. What I would recommend is always focus on your primary objective, which is to deliver on your job description. If the colleague is uncooperative, you want to confront that colleague in the nicest way possible and have a conversation with them in in the aspects of their behavior that affects your work. They could be nasty, but if their nastiness doesn't affect your output, then you don't have any business talking with them. Leave them in their space.
Yeah.
All right? Because they have their job description, you have yours. It's only when their nastiness begins to interrupt your delivery or begin to distort your output, then you will need to now make it a serious issue. And when that happens, you want to focus on that aspect of their attitude that impacts on your work. If for any reason they refuse to make any compromises or change in any form, then you take it to the authority. Because it will be clear that you've addressed them. In some cases, you can even talk to other colleagues about the matter so they can come and intervene. So that way you have witnesses to say that this guy truly has been trying to get through to this nasty fellow. And if that doesn't work, go to the superior. Because if it's going to affect your job, you must defend your job.
Yeah,
so talk with him as nicely as possible in the aspects that affect your delivery. Talk to your other colleagues about it. And then if that doesn't work, go to your superior.
that's true.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're having fun, guys, but we need to cool off for a little bit. So we're going to be right back after the short break. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, guys. Thank you for sticking with us. If you're watching this, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and turn on your post notifications so that you catch us the next time we upload another episode. Before we went on the break, we're talking about how to deal with your colleagues, both the good ones, the nasty ones, your bosses, and everything. So just before I went on the break, Apeh was telling me something very different from what I even thought. He was like, sometimes you're the reason why your boss is acting nasty towards you. And we don't tend to see it that way. We just feel like maybe our boss is just not a nice person, or he's just mean, or naturally angry, or has marital problems at home. But there are some times when we are actually the problem. So can you explain more?
Yeah, so that's very critical because my wife and I have had this conversation several times. And sometimes, you're very nice to people, and they take you for granted. And then you realize that being nice doesn't work. And then you now become mean towards them. So we used to have certain people in our house several years ago, and several things happened. And then my wife would keep saying, this is the reason why some people are really nasty as homeowners to their helps or their domestic staff. Because when you are nice, somehow they abuse it. And it happens also in the corporate space. Many times that you see bosses getting so aggressive, so mean, is because they've had so many bad experiences with incompetent team members. And many times it happens because they are trying to be the good guy, the good boss. And then these guys come in and go out, and they always cripple his efforts. And then he tries to be mean one time, and things get done.
Yes.
So, if you were that boss, you realize, okay, I've been nice for 5 years. And I've never achieved one thing, being nice. And then I just became mean once, and everybody's on their toes. So it looks like being mean works. And then suddenly he flips and becomes very mean. So sometimes the guys on the team are the reason for the nastiness that comes from their bosses. And it may not even be them.
Exactly, I was going to say that.
Yeah, it could be that they've had previous experiences, all right, that has made them, reshaping their values, their approach to work and leadership. And then the guys who are now currently serving him are now the scapegoats, all right? They're not the ones dealing with all the side effects of his 15 years of bad followership with other team members. That's one side to look at it. The other side is this. I've heard, several motivational speakers or inspirational speakers make reference to people like Oprah Winfrey, how she used to be on television and her boss fired her because he said she wasn't a good TV host, and then she turns out to be one of the best globally. Now, see, I have a problem with that. The reason why I have a problem with that is that it is possible that her boss was right at the time that he fired her. But in trying to bring forth these motivational points, we make it look as though, she was wrongly fired from her job. And then because, now she's a global figure, so the boss was wrong about her. He may not have been wrong about her. It's even possible that it was her being fired that inspired her to up her game.
Yeah.
So if you look at certain people and the outcome of their lives, it was because a boss told them the hard truth and did the hard thing. Like I say, inconvenience is the womb of creativity. If they were not fired off that job, from the job for which they were not qualified for, or they were incompetent, they won't have upped their game to do better. Now they have done better, we're all praising them. Yeah. And they were not discrediting the boss that gave a fair judgment on his or her delivery 10 years ago. So Oprah may have been fired by someone who said she was a bad TV host, maybe because she was a bad TV host at the time. And when that happened, she felt a need to go and refine herself and come back to the same thing again, and then became golden. It's possible. So many bosses who are tough on their team members and who have had to fire them nicely or aggressively may have had good reasons for doing so. My encouragement to those people who are being impacted is, let that inconvenience give birth to creativity. Don't leave that space being so bitter about how you were fired or who fired you. Find a way to take that energy and build something bigger and better. And eventually that same boss will have better respect for you 10 years down the road.
That's true. Because some people, from what you said before, some people might still feel like it's not fair. I'm not the one that did this. Why are you? It's like bleeding on somebody that didn't cut you. I'm the one chopping all this aggressiveness now. And I mean, I wasn't the one that initiated whatever changed your way. I mean, the reality we'll have to live with, I guess. So it's just to adjust, basically, to the situation around you. So, Bryce, I'll trade them because you've been quiet for a while. How do I deal with a genuine love interest in the workplace? Especially, I mean, it's normal that in most offices, they don't encourage staff seeing each other for office reasons. So let's look at it from the two sides. In offices that they don't allow it happen, and then even in the office that they allow it happen, how do you deal with it? Because even in the office they allow it happen, it can still be very distracting. People will not be having issues. You have to come to work and see each other. That kind of thing. Like, it can be very conflicting. So how do I deal with a genuine love interest in a workplace?
Well, you made the job so easy by saying genuine, because very often it's not.
Very often?
It's not. Attention breeds affection. Simple. Okay. You have all the time together. That's why affairs even build up. Partners who are not spending enough time with their spouses, but spending all the good time with another person. And I would even surprise you, I had course to teach recently that partners need to take on projects together. There's something that happens in the minds of people who solve difficulties together.
Yeah.
So that word genuine is too heavy for most of the circumstances. Yes. You're interacting with the person's best thought process. You're interacting with the person's ability to solve a problem. You know, you're getting that kind of attention. So something begins to go on in your mind. Wow, this guy is intelligent.
Yes.
I mean, I see these things play between my children. Our first daughter, second child, always says that OJ David the first is a genius. I mean, he calls himself scientist, he thought. I'm like, this guy is already blown away by her brother. Why? Time and space. So you need to even interrogate and question why I'm getting interested in you. But let me quickly say this, just assuming it's genuine. Work policy should not stop your destiny. Just in case.
I'm hearing. Work policy should not stop your destiny. Shoot that shot.
But what should you do? You need to manage it because your destiny needs to be funded.
Yes.
And if they sack both of you, you're about to square one. Alright? So first thing you need to ask is to establish the genuinity of what you're saying. And when you want to talk about establishing genuinity, it's not going to be emotional, it's going to be decisional. So what does this person want? You know, some of the people you are saying you have genuine love interest. The guy has been through 4 girls in the same office. There's no genuine nothing. It's just your turn. I mean, it's passing the plate around.
Yeah.
All right, so once you establish that it's genuine and this is a decision thing, you now sit and have proper conversation. You know they don't allow this thing for office. If it's going to lead to exit, you make an exit plan before you make it public. We live in an Instagram generation. Everybody wants to just put it out quickly. That's the problem. Can we dig a proper foundation? I did this thing I'm telling you to my wife. She was my friend for more than 2 years and I dummied her. In fact, she came to confide in me for somebody that was asking her out for marriage.
Wow.
Yes, because I wanted a relationship that was so plain, see me as a brother, so that I can relate with you. Did I ask her? She was surprised. I thought you said what? Said fire. All right. So have the capacity to hold it. Come to office and be office. And even what you talked about when they're having issues, they come to the same office. You'll be married, you have issues.
Yeah.
And you come to, if you are working in the same, you come to the same place. If you are not working in the same office, you carry the emotion or drop the emotion and arrive at the office.
Yes.
So it's never going to stop that you not need to put a balance to it. So whatever the case is, even if they allow it, don't put it on your head. Workspace is workspace. And that's why for some people, if you need to start looking for an exit plan, even if the office is not threatening, please do. Because some people cannot successfully work together. Simple.
That's true.
They can't find that dividing line. If you cannot, one of you needs to start finding where to go next. If not, their love will not even thrive. Especially people, I'll just give this example in closing my thoughts. You know, especially people who have a problem. All of us should be jealous in love, but some people have problem of jealousy. So you just greet a girl. She's already, yeah? You just hug a girl, they are checking the dimension of her breast that touch your body when you hug. And you were just innocent. You know, so it's so important to be able to also ask yourself, even if it's permitted, do we have the capacity to date, plan to marry and marry while being in this office and to not affect our productivity? Because eventually, while the office should not stop your destiny should also not stop your funding.
Yes.
Because if this one goes down, your love will go down too.
It will go down hard. So what then happens when it's no longer a genuine love interest, like you said? What happens when it's a sexual predator?
Sexual predator. First of all, I hope it's not your boss, because that's harder.
It's
that's
way
the one
harder.
that easily leads to a loss of job. 2, it may not be your boss, but I hope your boss is not an enabler.
To whatever.
Because sometimes, especially seeing that the woman is predated on, if you raise it and your boss has this opinion, I bet you be woman and no be man, he be, that's another problem. Because the person who should apply the discipline is permissive of it. That's a big problem. Well, let's hope all of that is not the case. There are established patterns of dealing with stuff in every organization. It may not be spelled out, but I cannot watch that happen under my nose. I love genuine love interest. People I love, but don't affect my work. If I one of these I'll do to people like that, I'll not put you on the same project.
Yes.
Simple and short, because you just mess up. You're going to be loving each other when you're supposed to do assignments. But if in that situation you tell me you're predating, I will call the man and warn him, you love your job? You love your job? In fact, that's when I'll post 2 of you on the same assignment. Because I want you to develop capacity to see what you want that does not want you. It's not everybody who I wanted in life that wanted us back.
Yeah.
All right? So, but if it's the one that doesn't have sense, you sack him. That's the honest truth. So, what is the option for the person that, you know, is subject or the victim? Number 1, like I talked about threshold earlier, is this something you can handle without ruffling anybody's feather? I mean, and a lot of ladies say, I'm sorry, they don't have sense.
I feel attacked.
You have not blocked him on WhatsApp, you are complaining. You have not blocked him on social media.
You're complaining.
What is your problem? Or the color of your problem? You need to pass the message strongly.
Yeah.
You need to learn to say no without feeling guilty. Like no is no. But some no is colored with yes.
No, no.
Alright? So he's not a sexual predator if you are still accommodating him.
Yeah.
He's a man with interest that you are still considering.
That's
So
true.
it's your conduct that defines whether it's a predator. So if you had said firm no, blocked all the channels still at you, seek counsel. Because sometimes you may be over-exaggerating it.
Yeah.
Because somebody can send a message and say, I actually still love you. And you're taking it like he has killed somebody. He has not killed anybody. He just made an intention known.
Yeah.
So somebody with clear thought may be able to tell you, see, this guy just likes you. He's going to get over it, blah, blah, blah. You get sense. So that you also don't exaggerate situation. But if a third party who has wisdom looks at the circumstance and agrees with you that this is a situation, they start considering the option. Is there a policy, written or unwritten? Is our boss amenable? Is it somebody who can speak to in confidence and say, look, so-and-so is happening? Because sometimes nobody needs to be fired.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to just be shifted. So give him duty to be running around picking guests while you stay in the studio. You separated them.
Yes.
You know, so it's an issue that you have to apply the best wisdom considering the facts of the situation.
But what if it's the boss?
Yeah, so let me tackle that. One of the biggest reasons why there's an increase in rape in my opinion, is silence.
Mm.
So many people have been raped, sadly so, or there's been some attempt or some kind of workspace harassment by men. And let me say that sexual harassment is not only men to women.
Yes.
Sometimes it's even women to men, whether it's women colleagues or women bosses to men. So whichever it is.
Not to cut you, sir.
Yeah.
I'll just let you continue, but the reason is men are forceful, women are seductive. Seduction is sexual harassment.
Yes.
Please.
Oh, yes. If I have some kind of unspoken flirting,
Yes.
it's sexual harassment. There's a way I'm holding my peace. Only you want. You are adjusting your shirt like this 18 times. Drawing my attention to what I don't want to see. So sometimes we have to create that balance, okay? And I think that the reason why many people keep doing the nonsense they do is because the victims are quiet.
True.
And if the victims become more audible, a man will analyze his drive and hunger before he will make the move. You see, when you go to rob in a house that has no lights, no camera, you don't need
Very
to
simple.
plan too much. You can just attempt. Even if you now go and the door is locked, you will just go back. And you try to rob the house, it did not work. But if you're approaching a house that is fully lit and there has got CCTV cameras everywhere, you will put a lot of planning because there are many eyes that are seeing. All right? That's the problem. Many ladies are just dark, black, no lights, no lock. They are too approachable, no burglary. Any man can just open the door. They say, okay, close the door now, close the door now. Like you said, no now. And what you are doing is not good though. And stop now. You are doing stop with your mouth when you have two hands to stop it. You understand? And then many of them are too quiet. They've been harassed for 1 year and they've been quiet about it.
Yes.
And when you're quiet about it, you empower the man. You empower the predator, or whoever he, male or female. So many times we need to become more audible so that if the predators are coming your way, they will be afraid of your audible power.
Yeah.
But if I think that if I try her, she will not say anything. I know the African setup encourages silence.
Yes.
Girls go and tell their mothers they've been raped. Say, don't tell anybody.
Don't tell anybody.
So they'll not come and see you as you're no longer a virgin. No, just keep quiet, no problem. We'll just keep praying about it. Some things you don't pray about, you talk about it.
Yeah.
Ring an alarm. All right? So my key advice to people who are being harassed by their bosses, especially, you said genuine love. When is genuine harassment? Not presumed, assumed harassment.
Yeah.
Some people just in their mind think their bosses like them. When the boss has no interest in them. He's just being nice to them.
Yeah.
Have you eaten today? Are you okay? You just say, my boss is liking me. He used to send me a message. He used to call me. He's like, and meanwhile, he has been like that with all the other male guys in the office and everybody, even the cleaner. He's that same way with them. So some women are just assuming, some men are just assuming. But if it's truly genuine harassment, my first advice is that be audible about it.
What if you lose your job and it's a good job?
Still be audible about it. Now you determine who to speak to about it. You see? So when I say be audible, I'm not saying go to Instagram and put his picture out there and say this guy is harassing me. There are people within the same system that you can speak with. There are ways that he can feel the threats that somebody else will find out about what he's doing. Do you understand? And then like what Barrister said, I think that, the victims, I don't say women, the victims, male or female, need to learn to be more firm. The truth is that there's a way that you can be that will be a bad market for predators.
True.
There's a way you will be. I don't say, stop dressing anyhow. That just, that's too passive. But there's a way you will be, which is my own personal principle. So when I have a lot of friends who say, so girl is following me, so girl is calling me, I don't have that problem. Because when you come close to me, there's a way you see my eyes. Only you one will go back. So I make it a bit more difficult for anyone to cross certain lines with me, whether it's emotional or corporate, all right? So you cannot come and tell me, let us go and steal money. Because you will know that this guy is not the kind of guy that you can go and meet for one to go and steal money. So some people are too approachable. Even if their principles are sound, they themselves by nature are too approachable. So they become very vulnerable to many problems like this. So people need to learn to take a very firm posture. Don't be approachable. There's a way you hold yourself that whether it's your colleague or your boss, we know that this girl is fine now. Okay, the way she did. I know the future into
I
here.
need to even add some very contemporary. These days, predators don't even get forceful. They use strategy. You know, I told a lady recently, she was too late in resisting the boss. Nothing happened actually, but the relationship, her saving grace is that he's actually a man of conscience. Of course, what he was trying to do betrays his faith, but he was a man of conscience. And now, what I told her was, this man has evidence that you led him on. She was shocked. I mean, I can't give you this, still a virgin, a young girl. I say you led him on. I say I know the kind of emojis you easily use in chats. I know you chat this man late. I mean, I know you, you flow. I say you are too young to call your boss your friend. You led him on with everything in the book. He would chat you. I mean, so now you're having problems because he's inviting you.
Or call your boss Jerry.
You're now having problem because he's inviting you to his house. And his situation is so peculiar. I had to tell her, Pop, I'm playing body, they scratch him. His family is not resident in the same state. So he's always on the move. And he's living in a comfortable house. And you're chatting him all the hours he chats you. He's your friend. Now the time has come to pay for the friendship and you're talking. Say, no, you enabled it. So this approachability is talking about, it's not that you don't answer greeting. It is, there are certain, I tell ladies, as a man, one of the ways to silence a man's move is to keep insisting to call him and use the word sir.
Yes.
It has a way of putting us back in space. So the man just realized, but you see, these days it's so hard for sir to come out of the mouth of ladies. I'm not looking for respect. I'm telling you, can you assist with some boundary? If you notice, when the pressure comes on him, he begin to urge you to call him something else. That's when to increase the volume of sir. In capital letter.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Like 15 in one sentence.
Yes,
sir,
sir.
please, can I come, sir?
Yes.
No, sir.
Yes.
I was in your house, sir.
Yes.
15 sir in one statement.
Then you also shut down arrows that are coming. For instance, I say, sir, please, can I come? Say, I'm not coming, you're going. Say, sir, sorry, sir. Because what is he doing? He's inviting you to flirt. You don't know the meaning of come other than C-O-I-M-E. I don't know the meaning of any other type of come. This is the only meaning I know. It is coming and going physically. Because it starts there. Or I'll give you another example. Please, I'm just trying to be contemporary.
Sure.
People use this LM, is it laugh won't kill me, die?
Yes.
Or laughing my ass off. Let's be practical. What is it? Your big ass, you want to reduce it. That's the moment. There are chats you don't answer. Why are you going into my body?
What are you wearing?
Why are you going to
just skip that line and go to the next thing.
Why are you going to my body? And why did you even use laugh won't kill me die with your boss? Or my laughing my ass out? Why did you use that particular abbreviation? You also don't use it. Because these things, and that's why now people start relationships that nobody asked anybody out, nobody accepted. They just found themselves inside.
True.
They will enter and wait for the other person to join them.
Exactly. And it's quite an issue. It's quite an issue.
That's true. Our production guys have been signaling me since both 1 minute, sir. How do you juggle the demands of a relationship and a career?
Relationship at work?
Relationship at home.
Oh, at home.
The demands of a relationship at home. Say your marriage, you have kids, and then your work is also quite demanding.
This is 1 minute.
1 minute. 1 minute. Before they come to the camera and see time is up.
So if you can't deal with that in 1 minute, the truth is this, right? See, your family is the priority. The reason why you got a job in the first place is to be able to make ends meet or have, some kind of funding for you and your family. Always remember that you are working for yourself and your family. Some jobs is basically representing your passion. Okay, it's something you always wanted to do, but you have to work 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. every night. You get home, your husband's asleep, or your wife is asleep, and you've not seen your kids all day. They've gone to bed because they have to be back in school in the next morning. And so it's not something we can really address now, but it's a very critical issue you have just raised. And we are in a society that has become an everyday problem for those, especially in developed cities like Abuja, Lagos, Port Harcourt, where there are many jobs where people have to get to their offices by 7 a.m. or 7:30 a.m. and they are there till 9 p.m., 10 p.m. every single day. The other side to it is that some of these jobs are jobs that these people actually do enjoy.
Yes.
It's like they are being forced to be at the office till 9. You know,
Yeah.
it's a job that they are glad to be there till 9, you know, and they get home, you know, after 40 minutes, so they get home like 10 p.m. every night, and then, you know, they have used all their active hours and active energy at work. When they come home with nothing. So they can't be there for their kids or their wives, even if they were awake. So it's a really serious crisis that needs to be tackled. So I know I can't tackle it in 1 minute. Maybe
I'll just add something to what Boss said. But the first thing I would say is I agree. Thank God you are the anchor. You need to do episodes on this. A research recently showed that an average couple have only effective communication for 20 minutes a week. So
That's a
issue.
problem.
You have children that you should leave legacy for. So it's a major issue where we have to ask ourselves, why am I here? Am I just alive to make money, make career happen, except then what? So I'm going to leave it at that because my boss has said a lot that
we can't tackle it in 1 minute.
Honestly, I think we'll just leave this for next time. If you know you want this to continue, then leave a comment in the comment section. We're so sorry, but we're out of time and we have to go. Thank you so much, Barrister Ocholi and Actor Apeh, for this very educative session. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and of course, turn on your post notifications. Thank you for joining us again. See you next time. Bye.